I have monetized 6 channels on YouTube, and in this video, I'm gonna give you my 7-step formula to monetizing your YouTube channel in the fastest time possible. Now, of course, for all my beginning YouTubers out there, your biggest goal, your number one goal is to get monetized on YouTube, get put in the YouTube Partner Program, and of course, start making money from your videos. And in this video, I'm gonna show you exactly how to do that in the quickest time possible. Number one, outreach. Now, what I'm talking about, honestly, is just asking people. One thing I do want to say as a side note, by the way, on this video, I'm gonna make this a very raw, casual, fireside chat style video. I like doing these very raw, almost unedited style videos where there's not crazy jump cuts, things popping in and out. Let's pretend me and you are hanging out, and you're like, hey man, just tell me how to get monetized. Like, what's your best pro tips after monetizing 6 channels on YouTube? Here they are. And the first one I want to start off with is asking people. No, of course, we're not all Ronaldo getting millions upon millions of subscribers in a second on YouTube or whatever it was. But that being said, in order to get monetized on YouTube, you technically need 2 things to happen. One, you need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 public watch hours in the last 12 months. You probably know this. A lot of YouTubers know this. The second thing, though, is your channel then gets reviewed, and YouTube looks at your channel and says, yay or nay in terms of getting in the YouTube Partner Program. For most people, I'd say 95% of the people watching this video, unless you're doing something a bit bizarre, a bit questionable, you're probably going to get approved and put in the YouTube Partner Program. But in order to even get to that point, you need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 public watch hours. And one of the best ways to get started, honestly, is ask people. Ask your friends, family, post on social media. If you already have a following on TikTok, on Instagram, and other places, utilize that. And I suggest this right in the beginning because if you think about it, you want to hit those metrics as soon as possible. And especially if you already have a following, or let's say if you just have a bunch of friends who want to support you, getting people to start watching your videos, getting people to start subscribing to you right away, gets that ball rolling and moving pretty fast. And that's one thing I've noticed is, as you can imagine, sometimes I have, as an experiment, tried to create a channel from scratch, not told anybody about it. But there's been other times where I've told all my friends, all my family, all their subscribers on my other channels saying, hey, I actually started this new channel. If you want to support me and you want to hit a sub, if you want to hit that like button, if you want to watch some of those videos, I'd really appreciate it. And I've noticed that, as you can imagine, that's a huge way to maybe even get, sometimes right off the bat, 50 subscribers, 100 subscribers right there. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm already 10% of the way moving towards my goal. Now, one big thing I do suggest, if you are going to do this, which I suggest you do, is have at least a few videos up. I think one thing I've noticed when it comes to beginning YouTubers is they'll maybe post one video and tell everybody about their YouTube channel. Not a bad idea. I'm not saying that's bad per se, but I suggest having a few up because, as you can imagine, let's say you have 3 videos up. I'm making this up, right? Or 5 videos up already. And then you promote your YouTube channel. Then people not only will subscribe, which you're going to do anyway, but because you want to get those watch hours in, let's say someone watches one of your videos and like, oh, dude, this is a good video. I'd like what you did here. They watch the second one and then the third one, right? If you only have one, they are limited, literally limited, in being able to only watch one video. So I do suggest, before you're doing outreach and everything, always have more videos than less. 3 to 5, I think, is a good idea. In addition, not only do outreach in the beginning, right, when like so you have that mini collection of videos or you're starting on that, but also in every video. They have done studies. This is probably not surprising. There's a lot of YouTube studies out there that if you ask in a video for people to subscribe to your channel, they are way more likely to. And I'm not gonna lie, the whole idea of being like, hit that like button, subscribe, ring that bell, that kind of stuff, it's very kind of cheesy, maybe even a bit cringy and almost meme worthy, right? We all know this, like and subscribe. But if, let's say, in that beginning, you really want to get monetized fast, asking in every single video really does wonders. And a big pro tip I have on top of this is usually do it after big moments. So let's say I'm trying to teach you something. Let's say I have a 5-minute video, and around the 2-minute mark, I really hit the point. That's like the climax of the video. Is around the 2-minute mark, I really explain this one important point. I might then say, hey, by the way, guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers to get monetized on YouTube. I really appreciate it. Now let's continue on. And then I keep talking, right? And for a lot of people, even those casual YouTube viewers, most people do understand when it comes to getting monetized on YouTube that you do need to hit those metrics. And I think a lot of people will support you more as well. If you say, hey, hate to be annoying, but hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers because of X, Y, and Z. I'm trying to get monetized. Most people usually, especially for providing high quality videos and good value videos and everything will usually subscribe once you A, mention it, but then also B, explain why, right? This is a big psychological thing. If you explain why you're doing what you're doing, people are more likely to help you out and support you. So not even just asking like, hey, hit that subscribe button, and then you move on. Say, hey, hit that subscribe button because I'm trying to reach these metrics, because I'm trying to get monetized. Number 2, searchability. This is a massive one. I've said this in so many YouTube pro tip videos that I've done on this channel. The best way to start getting traffic, because you may be wondering like, okay, Mark, this makes sense with the outreach, but how do I start getting views initially? The best way to do this is think of what are topics that people are already searching for. So if they search for them on Google or YouTube or whatever, your video could pop up. They don't have to know you or care about you or understand you at all in order to watch a video and get value from it. And I think more importantly, they want to watch it regardless of who you are. So a good example of this are things like reviews, tutorials, how-tos. So if I do a video like, take this microphone, which is the Shure MV7 microphone, if I do a review of it, some people, and a lot of people do go on YouTube and search Shure MV7 microphone review. Or they might go on YouTube and search, what is the best microphone to start out on YouTube? As a side note, I say Blue Yeti is my best suggestion, right? But those kind of videos, people are already searching for. Another thing is tutorials, like handstand push-up tutorial, because I do a lot of calisthenics and parkour. If I do a video called handstand push-up tutorial, people will inevitably find it. If I do a how-to video, like how to do a freeze frame in iMovie, I actually just posted that recently on this channel, that iMovie tutorial, people are finding it just because of YouTube search. So think of things that people are already searching for. And there's a lot of different ways to approach this, right? You could do, like I said, how-tos, tutorials, reviews. Another big one is ask yourself, what are beginning questions that people have? This is another really good thing. There's a site called Answer the Public, answerthepublic.com. I have no affiliation. And if you type in any keyword or search query, it will tell you all the most commonly searched questions about that. So if I, like say type in, like say I'm doing a fitness channel, and I type in push-up, I might see questions like how to do a good push-up. What are the different types of push-ups? What muscles do push-ups work? Can I build muscle with push-ups? Can I lose weight with push-ups? These are all different videos that people are already searching for. So having things like questions are also another good idea. Like one thing I tell people is if you have a niche figured out, like you want to do video editing, you want to do fitness, you want to do gardening, you want to do music, whatever. If you have a niche figured out, ask yourself, what are the top 30 beginners questions? What are the top questions you think the beginner would have? And I want to say that the more, which sounds a bit counterintuitive, the more simple it is, usually the better off it does. Like I remember there's one point where I had a video up, I was in iMovie tutorial on a different channel that got over 100,000 views. And literally the video was like a minute long and it was how to add music in iMovie. And all I did in the video was say, yeah, you grab the song, drag it into iMovie, that's it. Over 100,000 views. And I think the reason why is because at that time, one, there wasn't that many iMovie tutorials. This was like, I think 10 years ago when I posted that video. But two, and I think more importantly, is it, although it seems simple, this is a very common thing people want to know. And though it seems simple to me as an editor, to someone like you who just got into iMovie, it can seem a bit tricky, right? So the more common, the more simple the question, sometimes the better it's going to do. In addition, think of other things. So for example, like I right now live in Los Angeles. If you did a video like 5 things about living in LA you probably didn't know, that would do well because people do search for living in Los Angeles. That's something people look for, right? So ask yourself, when it comes to making these initial videos and all these videos, right, and especially in the beginning, how can you make a video about something that people are already searching for? Number 3, clickability. This comes down to something called CTR, or click-through rate. Basically, you want to make sure that your videos are clickable. This is massive because, of course, you're doing your outreach, like I mentioned earlier in the video. You're now making these videos that have high searchability, but that doesn't mean someone's definitely going to watch your videos. Remember, YouTube is a competitive space. It is very competitive on YouTube. So if you do a tutorial, if you do a how-to, if you do a whatever video you're making that has high searchability, that's great. But when it pops up, can someone click it? This comes down to really 2 things. One is having a really good title. 2 is having a really good thumbnail. I'm going to focus more on titles. I think thumbnails can be important, but I want to save that maybe for an entire separate video. But when it comes to thumbnails, the best suggestion I have is make a thumbnail that doesn't have a lot of stuff going on. Sometimes a lot of thumbnails have too much stuff and things popping in and out, or it's just chaotic. As simple as possible. So the KISS model, keep it simple, stupid, and zoom out. So on your, like say, Adobe Photoshop, whether you're using the Mac Preview Editor, whatever you use, make that thumbnail as small as possible and ask yourself, would I still click on this picture? Can I still understand what's going on in this picture, even though it's small? So that's my best pro tips quickly about thumbnails. I will be doing a dedicated video about them. Now we're talking about titles though. Titles are very important. And I find you want to have a balance of it being searchable, like I mentioned, but also being a bit catchy. And it does depend. There is a certain balance. I think this also depends upon the niche. So this is not a one-size-fits-all answer, but I think you'll get what I'm getting at, because this is the best way to word it. Remember that you're making content for humans, not for robots. That being said, there is a certain balance to have. For example, if I do a video and just title it Shure MV7 Microphone Review, although that's very square, not catchy at all, that's probably what you want. Like for me, have reviewed a lot of fitness supplements, and I've noticed the best titles for fitness supplements, like protein powders, have been literally the title. Like I just reviewed one called the Mutant Mass Gainer, and the title literally was Mutant Mass Gainer Review - Is It Worth It? Now the is it worth it, I didn't really have to add, but it makes it a little more human, right? Like, is it actually worth it or not? But the beginning, the start of that title is literally just Mutant Mass Gainer Review. Very, very square. Because I've noticed for those kind of videos, people want to just have the review, and that's what people are Googling for. Now, another huge pro tip, in case you didn't know, the first words that you put in the YouTube title are going to be more favored by YouTube. So if I said, is it worth it - Mutant Mass Gainer Review, or I reverse it, Mutant Mass Gainer Review - Is It Worth It, the latter is going to do better, because the start, the beginning, the preface of the title involves the keyword, and Google and YouTube will rank it a bit higher. Now, granted, this is not always true in terms of having a good click-through rate, because like I said, you're making content for humans, not for robots. So I had one video that did very well about Catalina Island. If you've never been, phenomenal spot off the coast of Long Beach here in Los Angeles. It's ridiculous. Anyway, so I had a video called 10 Things I Wish I Knew Before Going to Catalina Island, California. Now, Catalina Island, California is my targeted keyword. Let's just say, to be more specific, let's focus on Catalina Island. And if I had that title be Catalina Island - Things I Wish I Knew Before Going, it just doesn't flow. And even though, yeah, maybe from a robotic SEO perspective, I should have Catalina Island be the first thing in that title, I realized, you know what though? It just flows way better. 10 Things I Wish I Knew Before Going to Catalina Island. In addition, I also thought that was a good title of combining the searchability, like I mentioned earlier, but also having a good clickability. Like, it's very intriguing. One, it's a numbered post. Those always do well. It's like 10 things, 5 things, whatever. 2, that kind of unique psychological phrase of I wish I knew, I feel like is pretty good too. Like, I wish I knew, as in like, okay, well, I'm going for the first time. What should I know? I know a lot of people do things like this as well. Like 5 things you should know before going to Los Angeles for the first time, right? So not only am I hitting this clickability, which is really catchy, like, okay, make sure you do this before going to LA, but also I'm including Los Angeles in the title. And this is, I think, a tricky balance to have, because let's say if I do a video being like, you would never believe what happened to my pinky toe last night. Now, that's actually a pretty clickable title, because you're like, what do you mean last night? What's going on with your pinky toe? Like, that's a weird title. It could be very clickable. But are people searching for that? Are people searching for your pinky toe? Probably not, right? And so there is this balance, I'd say, for a lot of YouTubers in the beginning. And you may notice this for a lot of, like, say, advanced YouTubers, they don't really focus on searchability. The big YouTubers have such a big following that, if anything, they almost, and this is what I've noticed for a lot of YouTubers, you start out by being super square, very searchable titles. This is what I've done on this channel, for example, very searchable titles. And then over time, you're like, okay, let me make some more catchy, maybe it's not fully SEO'd, but I'm making content for humans, not robots. You're also getting a lot more views from your subscribers, right? So sometimes a catchier title actually is going to do better. And then at some point, you see for a lot of big YouTubers that they don't even really have searchable titles. If you look at like these big, massive YouTubers we all know, a lot of times they just don't have super catchy titles, or excuse me, they don't have searchable titles, but they have very catchy titles. And there's a reason why, because at a certain point, kind of transitions. But in the beginning, for you, you want to think of, how do I have a title that's very searchable, how-to tutorials, reviews, like I mentioned earlier, but it has certain keywords in it that also has a certain catchy ring to it that combines the best of both worlds. Number 4, bingeability. It all comes down to this. The number one thing YouTube cares about is you keeping somebody on YouTube as long as possible. Point blank. That's the biggest thing. That's the most important thing. Everything I'm telling you right now, if someone came to me and said, give me one word about how to be successful on YouTube, or what is your top piece of advice, it'd be make your channel bingeable. Can your channel be bingeable? And I've had people comment on this channel, for example, which I appreciate, saying, hey man, I just binge watched 10 of your videos in a row. I love what you're doing. And that's a huge sign, because YouTube sees, oh, they didn't just watch one video and click out. They watch one video after another, after another, after another, after another. And this is the biggest thing I can suggest. Now, I think a big inaccurate, I'm going to say that word like that, piece of advice when it comes to starting a YouTube channel is you have to have a niche. It's a good rule of thumb, but it's not always true, which is why it's slightly inaccurate. The biggest thing is this: can someone binge watch your videos and not be thrown off by one video after another? So for example, if let's say I had a channel where I did, here's how to do a push-up. And then let's say right after that, I said, here's how to connect the Shure MV7 microphone to your computer. Not connected at all, not good. So having a niche in that regard is important. But it's more about, can your subscribers expect what's going to happen next? My favorite example of this is Swell Entertainment. She's a phenomenal YouTuber who makes kind of commentary style videos about tons of different things, from YouTube boxing matches to like 23andMe to different films, just random stuff. So if you look at niche, she's kind of all over the place. She's done videos about growing a YouTube channel. She's done videos about, like I said, like film, about random books, about conventions. It's very, very random. But her channel is bingeable because you know what to expect every time. It's her talking to you, explaining this unique thing she just experienced and going on about it, right? And so this way I say to a lot of people is ask yourself, when you're making a YouTube channel, when you're doing all these videos, can your channel be bingeable? Because if it is, I think I heard some statistic, and don't quote me on this exactly, but I can't remember what the number is, but like, it's something like it takes the average person like 4 or 5 videos until they actually are more likely to subscribe. There's a certain like number someone found out in a study of like, after X amount of videos, then they will subscribe. In addition, as you can imagine, the more someone watches your videos, the more public watch hours you're gonna get. And that's a big thing. Number 5, on that note, make long format content. Now, one thing I want to say, this one's pretty straightforward, but one thing I want to say is don't make your videos longer than they have to be, but try to make them as long as possible within reason. So the best advice I have is, if let's say you're doing a video about something, like say it's a very, very quick video, maybe make it a minute or two of like the bulk and then add stuff on top of it. My favorite example of this, I've already mentioned this in a few videos, is Vsauce. OG YouTuber, and he did one video about what color is a mirror, and the answer is green. So sorry to spoil it, but it's green. I guess it's some like reason why, right? But I think he said that, I think in the first like 30 seconds or a minute of the video, and that could have been it. It could have even been like a YouTube short, even though that didn't exist back in the day when he posted that video. But then for the next 7 or 8 minutes, he goes to talk about why is a mirror green? What exactly is going on? What's going on with the optics? What's going on with the science behind all this? And so in that video is so well done, where it's very, very entertaining, very, very unique. I mean, Vsauce, again, very true OG YouTuber in my opinion. He answered the question that you wanted. He wasn't wasting your time. He didn't ramble on. We've all seen YouTubers that ramble on for 15 minutes and then give you the piece of information that you want. He told you pretty early on, but then explained more. And I think this is one unique approach you can have. When it comes to long format content, getting those public watch hours, I think, are massive. As you can imagine, 4,000 seems like a lot, but if you're starting to make a lot of videos, it would definitely grow. But one thing that Mr. Beast has said, for example, you're way better off doing one video with a ton of information than doing a bunch of mini videos. So for example, let's say I'm doing a video about Ableton, which is a DAW, or basically a program to make music. So music production program. And let's say I have like one video about Ableton pro tip, a second video about an Ableton pro tip. And let's say there's 5 of them in a row. And let's say each one is 2 minutes long. Or let's say I post one video called 5 Tricks in Ableton You Probably Didn't Know, and that video is 10 minutes long. That 10-minute long video will perform better than 5 individual 2-minute long videos. So that's another big thing when it comes to long format content. See, this way you can batch things together. Let's say you're like gonna do a video about how to do a push-up. And let's say you're like, shoot, I can only really get 3 minutes. Maybe you do a video about how to do a good push-up and then talk about dieting with push-ups. Can you build muscle with doing push-ups? Like, you can add in all this other stuff. Then, yeah, you can maybe spread it out as to multiple different videos. But to be honest, can you build muscle doing push-ups? For me, if I had to do a video about that, would only be a couple minutes max. I feel like you couldn't really stretch that out unless you really tried to stretch it out. But that 2 minutes might be very useful in a video about how to do a push-up. Because if you're getting into push-up technique and getting into, like, say, bodyweight workouts or fitness in general, you might want to know, like, okay, I see people at the gym. I see people lifting weights, but can you actually build muscle with push-ups, right? Just another example. The longer you can make your videos, whether they're still being entertaining, you're not diminishing the quality, but long format videos are just always going to perform better. Number 6, value. This one is mind-blowingly important, I think, especially if we're building a following, and that is this: bring high quality value in every video that you have. Now, when it comes to the videos, you're typically not always looking at two different things. You're either entertaining people or educating them. Sometimes it's a blend, but I find it's either or. And if you're educating them, like say I'm teaching you how to do something, like my iMovie tutorials on this channel, for example, I make sure that each one is action-packed, if I'd say it like that, with really good information about how to use iMovie and all these cool iMovie tricks that you maybe didn't know. I have videos on this channel about accounting, and like I said, the big 4 public accounting firms, about how to interview there, how to get a job there, all these things that you probably need to know if you want to be an accountant, right? A lot of different things going on, when it comes to, like, say, accounting or iMovie or a lot of other niches. But a big thing at the end of the day is this: regardless of your niche, you have to bring, and you should be bringing, the most value you can in each one of your videos. This, I find, if anything, the secret sauce to getting a channel monetized as quick as possible. Because if someone says, wow, I just watched this video, and in 4 minutes, this guy or girl just taught me something that changed my life. This guy or girl just taught me something that I've been trying to figure out, couldn't find it anywhere, and boom, this video popped up. I'm going to subscribe. I know for me, when I have monetized channels pretty fast, some of the top comments I get, I mean, even now, on those already monetized channels, is someone saying, hey man, within 2 minutes, you explained something that I could not find in 10 other videos. You just earned a sub. That's a very common comment that I get, because I jump right into it. I don't waste people's time, et cetera, et cetera. You all know this, right? So I think a big thing I say to a lot of people is, if you're going to entertain people, entertain the sugar honey iced tea out of them. You catch my drift. If you're going to educate them or teach them something new, go hard. Go hard or go home type mentality, right? I think bringing value as much as you can in every video is, I think, probably one of, if not maybe actually the surefire biggest and best way to grow on YouTube as fast as possible. Number 7, consistency. This is another one that, I'm not gonna lie, is pretty straightforward, but I feel like have to mention it. The more consistent you can be, the better. Now, when people ask me, like, hey man, I'm getting into YouTube, what should be my strategy? I'd say get your channel up and running, figure out everything from your profile picture, your banner. Maybe we'll do a video about how to do all this in terms of the both technicalities, but also some pro tips. Figure out your about me, maybe your description in every video, and then maybe post a few videos, like I mentioned way earlier in the beginning, about 3 or 4. At that point, once you get this ball rolling, people are subscribing, they're commenting, they're liking, they're sharing, I'd say 1 video a week is a really good place to start. I think it's good because, 1, it's not going to be overwhelming. Like, I'm assuming, unless you won the lottery, unless you have a lot of free time, whatever the case is, if let's say you have another job, you have other obligations, YouTube isn't paying the bills, at least not yet. And so at that point, time can be a bit of an issue, I think, if anything, right? And also stress. In addition, you're just getting started. So there's a lot of tricky things when it comes to YouTube. There's a lot that goes into it, as we all know. You're talking about having to understand things like filming and cinematography, angles, lighting, sound, speaking on camera, then filming a video, getting the right shots depending on the niche that you're in, then of course video editing, then SEO, then I might even add in Photoshop as well when it comes to the thumbnail, then psychology about having a good title. There's a lot that goes into it, right? And so that's why I suggest for a lot of people in the beginning, 1 video a week, I think, is a good way to be consistent. It's enough that people do not forget about you. Because remember, the one thing that's annoying, I'm not gonna lie, about getting in the YouTube Partner Program that's just so frustrating, and I've sometimes been there where I'm almost cutting it close, is this 4,000 public watch hours in the last 12 months. Meaning, let's say if you get 3,000 public watch hours in 1 month, you just blow up out of nowhere. Your video just crushes it, and you're only getting a few watch hours here and there over the next 11 months, you might actually lose those 3,000 in terms of ranking you for the YouTube Partner Program. I don't know why YouTube does that. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of weird. I feel like 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 public watch hours makes sense. Maybe they don't want you to just get a bunch of watch hours and then never do anything again. So maybe that's why they do it. I know it's kind of annoying though, because there's been some channels. I remember one in particular that I had where I got a bunch of watch hours and the things just were not working, and I actually started to get close. So luckily I did make it and I did get monetized, but I remember being like, shoot, in a few months, I might lose all those watch hours I got previously, and this channel, for whatever reason, is taking forever to get monetized. Luckily, I made it, right? But I think being consistent is the #1 way to, of course, continue growing, continue building that fan base. And I think 1 video a week is the way to go. And now, a bonus tip, and that is talk about your journey. This, I think, is one of the best ways, and there's 2 different ways you can approach this, from like a normal perspective and a meta perspective. I think it's one of the best ways in terms of creating content to initially get those 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 public watch hours, get people to start following you and really invest in what you're doing, is having some type of journey. People really like this, and there's a lot of different ways you can approach this. So one, you can do things like fitness, right? Related to fitness. Hey, follow me on my weight loss journey. I'm trying to lose 50 pounds, and every video you post goes along with that, right? It tackles all of these things that I've talked about, from building a fan base, having it be searchable. Losing weight is a big search topic. Clickability, people want to see your journey. People are invested in your journey. You can even make these long format videos. If you look at people like Sam Sulik, for example, the fitness YouTuber, a lot of his videos are very casual. Like, it's almost like we live now, at least at the time of this video, what I'm going to call the anti-beastification of YouTube, where things are now more easygoing, more genuine, more vulnerable, I might even say. And I think by having some type of journey, I think this can really help you, because one of my best and favorite quotes actually about creating content comes from Gary Vaynerchuk. And he said, don't create content, document what you're doing. And that's, I think, one really good way to get started. I've had a lot of people hit me up on this channel saying, hey, Mark, I love what you're doing. I love all this kind of YouTube stuff. I want to be a YouTuber. I just don't know what to be a YouTuber about. And I think one of the best ways to get started, like I said, just document. Maybe start documenting what are you doing in your life. See what picks up. You never know. I think sometimes one of the best ways to be a successful YouTuber is throw a bunch of stuff against the wall, see what sticks. You never know. Sometimes you might think no one's going to care about this video, and they do. You might think everyone's going to love this video, and they don't. As much as they know about YouTube for the past 10 years being a full-time YouTuber, there's some times where I'm like, oh, this video's going to pop off, and it doesn't. There are other times where I'm like, I'll post this, it's not too bad, and people will love it. You still never know, right? So one, start documenting what you're doing in general. But two, if you can, talk about your journey. And if anything, to give you a second point as like the meta perspective, like I briefly mentioned, maybe even talk about your journey, about trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Maybe in every video you say, hey, you know what? I know I'm doing this weight loss journey, but I'm also on this journey to try to get monetized on YouTube. Here's where I am right now, and start talking about that. I think this is, if anything, the best starting approach. Because let's say you're watching this video and you're like, hey man, I want to be a YouTuber. I want to get started in this, but I just don't know how to get started. I don't know where to get started. I don't know, I'm into a lot of different things, but should I make a channel about Pokemon? Or should I make a channel about fitness? Should I make a channel even about cars because I like cars? Start working on what you could think of as being a journey type long progression thing. People love to see that. I was doing a series one time, for example, where I talked about my DJ journey and me trying to make it as a successful DJ and as a successful musician. And I talk about the ups and downs. And if anything, people like that way more. It's more vulnerable. It's more human. It's not me. I think in this day and age, we don't live in this day and age, I mean, maybe a little bit, where people are flexing. Now, if I did a video being like, look at how much money I'm making, look how good I'm doing, people are like, oh, yeah, whatever. I think we're kind of past that point in society where people like vulnerability. But if I do a 30 video series of my journey to, let's say, get monetized on YouTube, and me talking about how I think I'm going to give up, and then in the next video, I'm like, all right, I'm going to keep going, and you're just being very raw and transparent and authentic, that is going to do so well on YouTube, right? So the best place to get started, if you watch this video, start documenting what you're doing. Start documenting what you're doing in general. And I'm going to say, maybe sit down and write down. This can sound a bit cheesy, but I might as well say it. Maybe 5 or 6 goals. Maybe 5 or 6 goals of what you want to accomplish, and be like, okay, what one of these goals, just in general, even ignoring YouTube, but what one of these goals could I actually make videos about? If, like, say you're trying to be a famous actor, talk about, I think that would do super well. I'm not going to lie. If you're here in LA and you're like talking about audition after auditioning, which, by the way, I used to audition. I used to do some acting. Auditioning sucks. It's the worst. But, let's say you're talking about the auditioning process and you're excited for this role, but you didn't get it. Or there were times where, like, I memorized 4 pages of material and I walk in and they say, all right, just say this one line. And I'm like, wait, I memorized 4 pages and you want me to, and you just, so right, these are different things that you can talk about this journey. So let's say you have that goal. Maybe you write down for this year, the 5 things you want to accomplish this year, figure out which one you can make a journey series about, start making videos, start documenting what you're doing and create a journey about it. And as another meta pro tip, talk within that journey about you getting into the YouTube partner program so you can finally start making money and get monetized on YouTube.